Well, hello everyone, and thank you so much for popping into this cover reveal live stream that I'm doing. I'm really excited to share with you this final cover of this cover of the final book in my series. I can't believe that we're here and doing this. I feel like I was just doing the cover reveal for book 1 a couple of years ago on the channel, and so it's really exciting to be doing this for book 5. This is the last book in the series. I have been having just the best time writing the climax and the finale and coming up with endings for each of the 4 main characters of the series, because it's been quite a journey that all of them have been on. And so, yeah, this is kind of a huge moment. And if you're here, I am very, very grateful that you're taking the time to stop in, because I am really just excited to celebrate this and just kind of soaking in all of these big milestone moments. Cover reveals are a huge deal when you're promoting kind of like a first book in the series or doing big marketing pushes. But at this point, we're at book 5, and so my marketing is really contingent on like people that read book 1, and then hopefully people like it and continue reading the series. So this is just kind of a low-key, fun cover reveal that we're doing today. But if you're here because you have read any of the books, and if you have any questions about what the process was like for me, I had never written a series before writing this one, and I've learned just so much over the course of this whole process that, I would love to share anything about that. But yeah. Oh, we got a comment. Jade said, "Hey, Claire, I'm a huge fan of your writing and videos. My first book will be published in September, and I take so much inspiration from you." Thank you so much. That means so much to me. Congratulations. That's awesome that you're publishing your first book in September. That's such a huge deal. Thank you so much for popping in and hanging out with me this evening. That's really awesome. If you're still around, what's your book about? What are you writing about? I would love to hear more about your book. And if you have a pre-order link or anything, also be sure to drop that in the comments. Oh, thank you so much, Nightmare Claire. That's an awesome name. I guess we do share the same name. That your branding is a lot more efficient or effective than mine for like being a spooky kind of horror writer. I don't know if that's what you are, but that's probably what I should start calling myself now, like with the kind of books that I'm writing. That's a very, very cool handle. I feel like I get this comment like when I make TikToks and stuff a lot, that people just say I don't look like the kind of person that should be writing spooky books. So maybe I should start calling myself Nightmare Claire. Not to steal your ideas or handle or anything. I'm probably not going to do that, but it's very cool. It's just it's like interesting how or like what a difference branding makes on your marketing and stuff. Like I didn't realize that even your author name gets counted into the metadata of like what like your or how your book shows up in search engines. Like if you don't have a name that sounds like it could kind of fit the genre, then that can sometimes, I mean, it doesn't make or break anything, but like having a name that sounds like kind of spooky, like, I don't know, like Hannah Haunted or something would probably help you market kind of a more paranormal book. But I did not know that when I published the series. So here we are. But I keep thinking about that too now, because I'm considering and kind of playing around and planning potentially starting a pen name. And so I keep trying to think of names that are like a little bit more like that fit into the genre that I'm writing, because a lot of people do like kind of like whimsical or like they put keywords into like fantasy names and stuff like that, which I think is cool. You're an audiobook narrator. Scary stories are my favorite. Awesome. So you've branded yourself very effectively then, definitely more effectively than me. Hats off to you. That's awesome. What audiobooks have you narrated? Do you narrate a lot of like spooky horror type audiobooks? Oh, Jade said my book will be published as a book of poetry. Oh, that's really cool. Okay, I'm so impressed that you can write poetry. Poetry has never been my thing. I've never been able to do poetry. I just think poetry is just the coolest thing in the world. And just the amount of creativity that you can, like, that you need to be able to create poems and manipulate language in that way to like capture feeling. I think it's so cool because I can't do it. So that's super awesome. I'm glad you think horror books are awesome. I also am a huge fan of those. Oh, hi, thank you so much for coming in and popping into the cover reveal. I will be revealing the cover in just a couple of minutes. And yeah, just chit-chatting now, but just hold on for like 1 minute and then I will be really revealing the cover. Nathaniel Turner said, looking forward to the last chapter, read all the books and can't wait to read this one. Thank you so much for reading all the books up until this point. That means so much to me. I'm so grateful that you took the time to dive into the world and get to know the characters. And I'm so glad that you're looking forward to the last one, because this one has been a roller coaster ride to write, which is why it's taking just a little bit longer to release. I just was really worried about getting all of the endings, like not worried, but I cared a lot and I wanted to make sure that all of the endings that each character had was fitting for their character and that it just tied everything up and that the ending would be satisfying. And it just took a little while for me to figure out what that would be. So I am very, very grateful that you've stuck around this long and have read all the books so far. That means a lot to me. Cannot do rhyming poetry, only free verse. Yeah, fair enough. Rhyming poetry is hard, but free verse is hard too. Like I don't know. I find free verse very difficult because it's still like you have to just like follow the emotions when you're writing free verse. It's still like there might not be like a rhyming convention, but I still find it really hard. I'm kind of wordy when I write. I need to like express myself in a lot of different words. All right. Well, I could chat all night and I will continue responding to questions, but I know you're all here for me to reveal the cover. So I'm going to pop the cover up on the screen and then we can continue chatting about the book. But yeah, here is the cover of book 5. I don't really have a drum roll or anything, so I'm just going to throw it up there. Yay! This is the cover for book 5 in the series. I really, really like this cover. I had so much fun making it. I think it's really cool. This book definitely like it goes more in a horror direction than a lot of the other books in the series. Like it has some like serious like slasher scenes and like some serious like ghost haunting scenes that are just like kind of scary. And so I really, really wanted there to be a strong like red presence. It also all takes place over the course of one night and it's in the middle of winter and it's like everything is covered in snow and really, really cold. So I wanted there to be white and snow on the bottom of the cover and then have kind of like the dark shadows pressing in. And so the colors all really fit together very well. I liked that the silhouette seems to be wearing like winter clothing because it's like really, really cold. It's freezing throughout this entire story. And I honestly don't think that she's wearing enough winter clothing, but it's hard to find like stock photos of people wearing that are like absolutely perfect. I can probably find actually some iterations that this cover went through before we laid it on this one. I played with a lot of different silhouettes with my cover designer. And like some of them were like leaping and some of them were falling and some of them looked like they were dead and that looked kind of depressing. But yeah, we definitely went through a lot of iterations and there are some pretty scary things that happen in this book with like ghosts and possession kind of themes that have been present in the other books, but this one really kind of kicks it up into really true horror. And so that's why I wanted to have like a shadowy silhouette kind of on the bottom there too. So yeah, I love this cover and I'm really excited to be talking to you or like to sharing this with you guys and to be talking about it. But I'm glad you guys like it. That yes, it was a full circle. This was really important to me and I'm so happy that you caught this because They Whisper and They Hunt don't have any red on them, but They Stay, They Return, and They Fall have red on them. And so I really wanted it to be like full circle and to have like every other book have that, have the red pop out like that. And yeah, I wanted to have that kind of be holding the series together so that when you look at all the books together, it looked like it was balanced. So I'm very, very glad that you caught that. Yeah, I will say that this book does not leave a cliffhanger. This ties up every single little, like every single plot is tied into a bow at the end of this. Like I love a good cliffhanger ending, as you know if you've read the books. I probably leave every single book on a cliffhanger ending, but this one does not end on a cliffhanger ending. This one is very, very final and like buttoned up. So that because it was the last one of the series. I know that They Hunt cliffhanger was kind of intense, but yeah, this really like dives into that world that was set up in the They Hunt cliffhanger, and that's been so fun to dig into that. And it also skips forward in time. I don't know if I actually said this in the blurb or not, but the book takes place, I think, 4 months after the events of They Hunt. So the characters are slightly older, and they're a little bit more like established and back into their like quote unquote new normal. And then things kind of don't stay normal and just totally like go crazy over the course of this one night when they try to like fix all of the crazy things that are going on in their town. But yeah, so that is the cover. Oh, and we got some more questions about the series. Jordan asked, what was more satisfying to write, finish book 1 or book 5 in the series? That's a good question. I have to say probably finishing book 5, because it feels like such a big accomplishment. Like, this is a really big story that takes place over the course of 5 like pretty substantial books. And they're like pretty good length books, and there's just like a lot of stuff that happens, and it's a whole world that I built, and these characters feel like real people that I created, and I just put so much effort into thinking about every single little piece of their character arcs and their story. And just, I mean, the characters are the most important part of this world to me. They're the beating heart of this entire series. They are why I wanted to keep writing books in this world. And so it was really important to me to write full like character journeys for each of them that felt like they were really fundamentally different people from the first book to the last book, and that they all like went on a really, really big journey over the course of the series. And I think that, and I'm not going to say I think, I know that their endings at the end of book 5 are the endings that I write for their characters. And it feels so good, like in my gut, like I know that these are the right endings for these characters finally. And that was not the case for a little while. I was going back and trying on a ton of different endings, and I just was like not feeling quite right about it, which is why the book wasn't up for pre-order yet. And I was testing things out and sending the book out to beta readers and getting feedback, and things were just not quite clicking. But now everything has clicked together, and it just feels so satisfying to look at the books as like a complete body of work, where now I can kind of say goodbye to the characters and know that like they can live on forever through all of these books, and because of all of the effort that I put in to try to create like a world and a life for them that is worthy of their characters. So finishing book 1 was definitely satisfying, but I think for sure I'm like more satisfied finishing book 5. It's really bittersweet though, because I'm going to be really sad to say goodbye to the characters, but I do have like lots of opportunity for spin-offs in this world, and like short stories and novellas. And if I even wanted to write a whole, I have at least 2 separate story, like full series that could, I mean, not 5-book series probably, but like I have multiple books that can come out of this world and like be spin-offs. So if I ever wanted to come back to it, I know that I could. So yeah, thank you so much for your question. Let's see. Jade asked, can you briefly go over how you publish your books? I'm trying to gather information about how to publish since I am completely new to this process. Yeah, so I self-publish my books. I am exclusive with Amazon on the ebooks. So I publish my ebooks solely through Amazon, and I enroll in KDP Select. This is, I mean, there are a lot of pros and cons to KDP Select versus publishing wide. I have made like, I think 2 videos like breaking down what KDP Select is and what the arguments are for being exclusive and what the arguments are for being wide. So I'm not going to go into that whole debate here because it's like kind of a long, and there are like some genres it's better to be exclusive with Amazon, some it's not, and it's like kind of a whole thing. But I've chosen to be exclusive with Amazon for now for the ebooks. I publish my paperbacks both through Amazon directly and also through Ingram Spark. And Ingram Spark is another print-on-demand company that works with distributors and like will work directly to make your book available to bookstores and to like other retailers like Barnes and Noble. Like you don't have to upload it directly. You can just upload it to Ingram and they'll distribute it to all these other retailers. They are also like really the only option for stocking your book in bookstores as an indie author. I have not really found much luck or success getting my book into bookstores. I had a kick where I was really trying to do that, and I reached out to a lot of bookstores, and I got them to agree to carry the book. But then they'd order a bunch of copies from Ingram Spark, and then they would return them like after a couple of months if they wouldn't sell from the bookstore, and then I would have to pay for the printing cost. So it was ultimately making me lose money. But Ingram Spark's been good, and like it's still kind of the only option if you want to have an option for bookstores to order your book. And so I published through them. I think I might start publishing directly through Barnes and Noble, but right now I just do my paperbacks and print books through both Ingram Spark and KDP. And Ingram Spark does really pretty hardcovers with the dust jackets, and I really like the dust jackets on the hardcovers. So I do that, and I use ACX for my audiobooks. I found my audiobook narrator through ACX, and she's fantastic. And ACX managed all the auditions for me and everything. And they manage all the projects as well. Like they're kind of like the middleman. Like my narrator will upload the chapters into their dashboard, and then I can manage it on the side and like listen to the chapters, and then she can submit it, and then I can approve it, and then like everything will be done. So I like using ACX because it just makes the process really easy. But yeah, it's all self-published. And yeah, I'm trying to think of if there's another thing. One resource that I really recommend is the podcast Six Figure Authors. They're not releasing podcast episodes anymore, but they have a huge backlog of really, really amazing episodes packed with a ton of great information. And when I was first starting to self-publish, I binged through all of their episodes, and they are all like fantastic and really, really great resources. So yeah, I'm trying to think of other things. If you wanted to go wide, Draft to Digital is really great. If you wanted to, like, because you can upload your book to Draft to Digital and then like your ebook, and they will distribute it to like Apple and to like Google Play and to like all these different, I actually don't know if Google Play is one of them, but like Smashwords and other and Kobo and things. If you didn't want to be direct, Draft to Digital will just like send them all out for you and manage all that for you. So there are definitely pros to going direct with as many people as possible. But the con to that is that you have to learn a ton of platforms, and it's a lot more to manage. Like if you find a typo in your book, then you have like 10 people that you have to go and upload new files to. It just becomes really time consuming and annoying. But yeah, that's, and this is a good resource too. I've heard good things about that. Any books by Chris Fox, I found really, really helpful when learning more about self-publishing. So I highly recommend that too. And I'm pretty sure Chris Fox has YouTube videos. Like he has a YouTube channel, and he makes a lot of videos about the self-publishing process. So I recommend checking those out too. But I'm just seeing your guys' comments. Thank you so much for all the congratulations. I'm very, very grateful for you taking the time out of your evening to just pop in and jump into the stream. Let's see. Oh, we got a question. What software do you use to design your covers? Do you do it yourself, or do you hire a professional? I hire a professional. I am a terrible, terrible designer. I work with Mila book covers. I found her through 99 Designs, and she's just been amazing. She's been fantastic, super responsive. She's really, really talented. She's super nice. We just like bounce back revisions until like both like and she will do any changes that I want until I'm super happy with it. And she's super nice. Like I can't recommend working with her highly enough. So I think if you just Google Mila book covers, then her website will come up, and yeah, she's great. Let's see. Oh, can I ask what font the letters are? Yes, you may. The letters are, it's Trade Gothic Pro LT, I think. I use this font for like so many marketing things. I just found it for free online and downloaded it. And then anything that I want to brand is like a They Stay branded thing, I can use this font. So yeah, it's great. It's clean. It's simple. Yeah, Trade Gothic, maybe Pro. I'm pretty sure it's that. I can look it up if you can't find it, but I'm sure if you just Google it, it should be a free download. So that should be easy for you to find. But yeah. Oh, we got more comments. I keep writing scenes, but never a complete story. Make a solid logical plot is so difficult for me. I feel you. I love the plotting process. It's like it really scratches an itch in my brain. It's like I feel like I'm putting together a puzzle, and it's just such a satisfying feeling when like things start to click together. Like I really find it such a fun brain teaser and brain challenge. I'm kind of addicted to it. I really, really like building plots and stories. But scenes are like the things that people connect to. So I also like it's really important to know how to write a good scene in order to put together a good story. Because if you can write a scene that keeps people interested and like draws people in and makes people feel something, then those are all the building blocks that you need for a complete story. So yeah, scenes are very important too. um oh good, you found it. All right, good. I'm glad you found it. Um I can't pants books either. I have a real tough time trying to pants books. Although I've found that I'm getting a little bit more like I'm enjoying pantsing a little bit more as I've gotten farther into the series. Maybe it's because I know the characters better than I did when I wrote They Stay, and it just feels really natural for me to write them. And I know them well enough now that if they're starting to say things or do things that don't feel authentic to them, then I'll start to like it makes me pause and realize like something's not right about the scene. So I have started really liking having like beats that I know I have to hit by a certain time and then exploring between those and see how I can get from point A to point B in the most creative way. Because I also find that what I come up with in my first plotting attempt is usually not the most creative and interesting way to like get from point A to point B. Like my outline is rarely like the coolest thing or like the coolest version of the story that it could be. And I often discover more interesting ways to do things as I'm drafting. So I'm starting to become a little more of a hybrid, but all of my videos from a couple years ago, like if you go back and watch them, I'm always like, I can't pants. I only plot. I'm like the most hardcore plotter in the world. And that's starting to become less and less true. So it's funny and interesting just how your writing process develops as you write more books and also how your writing process changes depending on the book that you're writing. I've been finding that really interesting. Like I've been doing different things when writing like They Fall compared to writing like the most recent Ghost standalone that I wrote. So it's super interesting just how things change and evolve like that. I think I'm going to need to make some more videos, like more recent versions of some of the older videos that I did, just because my process has been changing so much. Like I have videos on like how to write a second draft, but now I approach it differently than I did 3 years ago. So I think I'm going to have to go do like 2025 editions of all of these videos. I'm just scrolling up to make sure I didn't miss any questions. Let's see. Yeah, no, I think we're good. Oh, James Scott Bell. Oh, I haven't actually read that book. I haven't heard of that book before. I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm gonna make a note. I actually also haven't read like Save the Cat Writes a Novel, so I have decided that I need to read that because it's such an iconic planting book or pantsing or oh my gosh, such an iconic plotting book that I need to read it. So I'm ordering a copy of that for myself too. Um, Especially because like Save the Cat has its own story structure that I'm just not super familiar with. Because I just recently, like in my most recent interview with Ellie Marney, I like she told me about the five stage climax, and I'd never heard of that before. And I spent the weekend looking that up, and it's awesome and so helpful for plotting out climaxes. I recently read a book about outlining a novel, and its idea was that all fiction starts with a what if idea. I think that that's really right. I completely agree with that. It's also I've heard that a lot of book pitches start like that. Like it's like what if dinosaurs roamed the earth and we're like stuck in theme parks or something. Like it's always like a what if question in pitch. So I think it's cool to start brainstorming ideas for books that way too, because then you kind of clearly already know how you're going to pitch it. Yeah, you got to make sure you don't get too in your head about it. Like the writing and the storytelling part is the most important part. Like following some plot structure is really, really good because you want to make sure things don't get too slow, or like it's people have subconscious reader expectations for how stories should fit together. But whether or not you can tell a compelling story is the most important part. Like if you're good at writing scenes and you can keep people interested, it's not good to get too bogged down and too stressed about the plot structure. Like you want to also make sure that you're tuned into how you feel and like your internal compass as an artist and like what you're interested in and where your attention really is, because I think there's a lot, like it's important to listen to that inner voice that you have, because where your attention and like the parts of the story that you're initially gravitated to and probably those initial scenes that you want to write, there's a reason that you're gravitated towards them, and like there's probably an important thing there that you want to make sure that you bring out in the final product of the story. So writing is complicated and it's hard, but it is also simple and should be playful. So you can't get better at writing by just reading about plot and plot structure. You also have to get like actually do the writing to get better at writing. So it's important to just take the pressure off, because I understand like if you get way too like I get in my head, and as soon as I start to put pressure on myself, then writing becomes less fun. It's a lot harder to actually get anything on the page. But um oh, that's interesting. Okay. See, I've heard of the story circle too, but I also have not dug into it. So I probably should do that. I will make a note of that too, because I want to start like doing more breakdowns of story steps or different story structures on the channel. So I think those will be two helpful ones for me to really dig into. But you were going to see the bundle like last year, but then I decided just to hold off until I was really like I'd gotten to a good place with the marketing that I was doing, and my ad campaigns were like being more successful. And then that didn't really happen. So I didn't put together a bundle. I don't know if I actually can do a oh, I don't know. I'm not sure I can do a paperback bundle at all. I think I'm going to do two bundles. I'm going to do one box set of the ebooks that gives you like the first 3 in one, and then I'm going to do one that gives you all 5 at the same time. But yeah, I hit a little bit of a wall with my marketing last year, and I think a lot of it has to do with the covers, because I was getting some feedback that the covers don't make the book look like it's hard to tell that it's a spooky ghost story just from looking at the covers. And so I am actually planning a full cover rebrand of the series, and I've completely redesigned They Stay's cover, and I have that one, but the other ones I don't have yet. I'm still working with my cover designer on that, and I will be launching that at some point, probably in the next month or so. But I'm doing it slow because I'm good. I want to make sure I plan out like a really big sale on the original covers with the original paperbacks, because if people want to have the original covers with the original, or like the original books with the original covers, I want to make it really easy for that to happen. So I'm going to like drop prices and like make it a big exciting thing. And then I'm going to change the covers after that. I think I'm going to keep like my plan right now is, and this is not official yet, this is just me like, I made a plan and like the notes on my phone this morning. So I'm just telling you because, we're all chatting. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the original covers as the hardcovers for the foreseeable future. And then, so if anybody wants to collect the original versions, they can still access the hardcovers. But no, you don't have to order all the books with the classic covers now. You want to wait because I'm going to cut prices and I'm going to do a big sale on all of the books. So hold off. But if you want to know when I do that, sign up for my mailing list, because then like I will send out emails about when I'm going to do that. But I haven't even like announced this on my mailing list yet. I'm writing this in the email, then I'm going to send out with this cover reveal that's going to go out tomorrow. But you guys are the first to know. But yeah, that's the plan, is that I'm going to run the sale. So don't order all the books with the classic covers now. Wait until I make them cheaper. But yeah, maybe I can, I don't know. Maybe I can show you the They Stays cover, the new cover, because I'm really excited about it. I think it looks really cool. It's super different, but it's going to be like, they're going to be homages to the old covers in all of them. It's just going to kind of take it and like make it look almost like it's a realistic version of the existing cover, which I think looks cool, but it's going to be like similar. Like They Whisper will still have the corn and like they'll still look like the series, but be just a slightly darker, grittier version, which I think is going to be cool. But okay, you had no idea the kind of angst that I had about this title because of this exact reason. I hated this title for such a long time because I just couldn't get this out of my head. Like I was like, they fall doesn't sound scary. Like they fall sounds like, oh, they fall for each other. Like it doesn't sound like a horror book. And so I was like, it didn't feel climactic enough for me to be the ending of the series. And so I had so much angst about it. I really, 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 really wanted to call this book They Die, but I was cautioned against that by literally anyone that I talked to about it. All of my beta readers, like everybody said, don't call it They Die because it sounds too depressing. And I didn't want people not to read the book because it actually has a really happy ending because I called it They Die. So that's why it is They Fall. But this comment is like, this was what was going through my head. And yeah, they do. I mean, there is some romance in the series. I guess they do fall in love. It has a double meaning. So you're not wrong. I want to see if I can pull up one of the older versions of the cover. Because there was like a silhouette on it of like, it was called like the title text was They Die. And then the silhouette on it was like someone that had like collapsed in the snow and like looked like they, you know, were not still kicking. And I sent that to my parents and they were like, this is the most like depressing book cover ever when no one is going to want to read your series if you make this the last cover in the series. So we went for something a little peppy. And then I think in the next iteration, I was like, we need to make it a little peppier. And then I had like someone that was like jumping for joy. And I was like, that's just like a little too peppy. It's funny. All right. Oh, I'm going to see if I can just quickly share this with you. Because I think you might get a kick out of seeing this. No, don't be sorry. This is hilarious because it's like you've read my mind. If that's what you do, let me know because that's hilarious. Yeah, that would be awesome. I mean, I definitely like, you know, the characters fall for each other. They fall off of some really like tall things. They, I don't know, push people over and they fall into the snow. Like there's some falling that happens. Yeah, this is like what it was. I want to see if I can find it without having to like open up the text history or like the 99 designs history I have with my cover designer. Let me see if I can find just like the screenshot. I have the one after I think I changed it to They Fall, of the person laying in the snow. So just picture this. But oh no, why did it stop? It's not popping up. Oh, there. Okay. Just picture this, but like with like They Die as the text. So it's just like a little bit too depressing. And then there was another one that was like, yeah, it was like, yeah, okay. Hold on, I'm gonna show. This is like exactly what you just commented. I'm gonna throw your comment up so that you can see exactly the cover that you just manifested. Sorry, this is just really funny to me. Let's see. Well, there was a second I was like considering because I was like, oh, they're jumping for glee that like the evil guys are dead, but like it's just not hitting right. So there you go. This is one of the options that did not get chosen as the final cover. Yeah. So I'm glad we landed on the ultimate one that we did because this one just didn't totally feel quite right. No, I'm not going to release it in the fall. You see, I wanted to. My plan was that I was going to release it last fall, but it just wasn't ready yet. So that's why I ended up waiting until now. I'm going to release it in April. I really wanted to release it in January because that's when the book is set. So nothing about any of this is like working out exactly like my first plan for the book release, but I just wanted to get it into the hands of readers as fast as possible as soon as I was super happy with it. So that's why I was just like, we're just going to release it in April and it's going to be great. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen just in case there are people that jump in here and think this is the real cover, because I don't want them to unsubscribe. So yeah. Yeah, I am. Oh, I just saw this. I mean, that would be very kind of you if you did that, but you are under no obligation to do that because I will literally be running a sale on these books. So yeah, but that would be very nice of you if you did do that, because I definitely will be getting a smaller royalty cut when I do run that sale. But I just want to make sure that like everybody gets the copy of the book in the old cover who wants a copy of the book. So yeah, books are expensive. But yeah, let's see. I'm starting to like lose my voice a little bit, so I might have to hop off shortly. Oh well, maybe I can give you a little sneak peek at the new concept cover for the They Stay redesign, since you're all here. Let me see if I can find it, because I was not planning on doing this, but it's pretty cool looking. So, all right, let's see. Well, that's a very funny question to ask, like, you know, the author of the book series, since like when I set out to write books, I set out to write books like what is like everything I love to put in a book. And so every book that I write like is just like a mashup of like a ton of things that I absolutely love. But I personally obviously am obsessed with the series and I love these characters. And yeah, I love these books. But if they don't sound like you know, they're not everyone's cup of tea. So I recommend going and reading reviews and stuff and seeing their like kind of paranormal, like they're paranormal thrillers, and they have teenagers that like have to solve mysteries that have like ghosts involved in them, and there's like horror in them, and it's scary and kind of bloody, and like it's got some like Stranger Things type horror in them. And it's also pretty gritty. Like they deal with like a lot of like mature things, and like they have some kind of tough lives, and but it's like very like found family. And yeah, I really love them, and I love the characters so much, which is why it's like very bittersweet to be ending the series. But yeah, I highly recommend going to check them out if you're interested in a like very soon to be complete series with a lot of material and like very thought out and characters that like, you know, are very precious to me. I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you so much. I Oh, see, that's why I wanted to get the book out as fast as possible, because I'm like, I didn't want to rush the book because I wanted to make sure it was like as good as possible. And I was really proud of it before I released it. But I also know a lot of people hold off reading series until all the books are out. Like I personally do that, and I get super annoyed if I've started reading a series and then I have to wait a long time for the last one. So I really hope you like it. Oh, I'm so glad that you love the series. Thank you so much for jumping in and coming to the stream. Oh, I got totally sidetracked. I'm going to show you the concept for the new cover redesign. I don't think this is the final one, but it's pretty close to it. I'm like just like digging through the pictures on my computer. So, all right, here we go. This is the concept. I'm so excited about this cover. I think it's really cool. I love like the ghosts in the background and how they look like realistic and kind of spooky and creepy. And it just kind of gives the series just like a slightly like more mature look to it. And I really wanted like the text to look like it was like carved into the cover by a ghost. So it like looked like it was like really creepy. And I wanted it to look kind of cinematic too. So it like looked almost like a movie poster kind of. So yeah, that's the sneak peek of that. Oh, I'm so glad you guys like it. That's awesome. The Yeah, I don't actually know it. I can ask my cover designer. If you want to just drop your email in the chat, and then I will make a note to myself that I'll ask my cover designer for the font, and then I can send you an email, because I don't know it off the top of my head. I'll have to ask her, because this will be the new branding font for the series. But yeah, exciting stuff. So yeah, it is going to be really cool to, I think, redesign all of them in like kind of this similar style. But yeah, interesting. It's been fun. It's gonna be cool to see like the more animated covers come to life in this kind of creepy, realistic way. But it was super important to me with this cover that like the ghosts looked kind of like real people, and looked like a little bit like ghosty, but they didn't look overly like silhouettes. Like you could kind of still see texture on their faces, because that's kind of how it is in the book. Like that's a pretty important part of the book, that they're just like real people. So, oh, I'm so happy you guys like it. But yeah, this is a big deal. This will be something that I'm talking about for a while, but you guys are like literally the first people I've shown this to, outside of like my family. So yeah, I am very, very excited about it. But yeah, this is hilarious. Fun fact about They Stay is that originally it was called It Stays, but then it was very unclear. I was like, well, originally it was called The Man in the Long Green Coat, but I was like, Gesundheit, that's kind of a mouthful and doesn't tell you anything about what the book's about. And then it was like, I was trying to think, like, the cover just, the title didn't come naturally to me. So then I thought of It Stays, but then I was like, what stays? Like, that's confusing and kind of weird. So then They Stay kind of jumped out at me, because that's like a line from the text. And I liked the they, because it like referred to people and the ghosts, and that was creepy. But I do kind of wish, like in hindsight, if I were to do it again, I would have tried to like put a couple more paranormal keywords in the title. So for my next book in this genre, I will probably make it sound like, haunted, or like phantom, or just something in that like vein, so it's more clear that it's about ghosts. But that's why I have the subtitle. I have like the haunting, like ghost thriller or something on the new cover. So yeah, that's see, I feel this too. It was really weird, because I had the book done and I had no idea what I was going to call it, and I knew I wanted to publish it, and it was real, like it was a really weird feeling, like the cover just, or the title wasn't coming to me. They Stay, honestly, like I was not thinking about any of this stuff when I wrote They Stay, and when I titled They Stay. I just wanted to come up with a title that like fit the book, and because it is a spooky ghost story, that is what I would have titled it. I'm very excited to sharing the other covers too. I think they're going to be really cool. I think it's going to give the whole series like a really creepy, spooky look, and I think it's going to look cool. We're just going to get started on like the other ones, I think, this week. So that'll be really cool. We're going to, I think, do them in order. But, oh, and Befall is going to be released with its current cover, like in the old style. And it will be that way, like with the old cover on the paperback and everything else, for I think about 2 weeks. And then I will put the new cover on it. And then it will stay with the old cover in the hardcover version. So yeah. Anyway, I think I'm going to lose my voice if I keep rambling so much. Thank you all so much for coming out and for joining. Oh, one more question. So it's a thriller, not a horror. I can't say I'm the biggest fan of horror, but thriller I can handle. It is a thriller. It has elements of horror. It is not that scary. Like I think any horror fans that read it would be extremely underwhelmed, especially in like book 1 and 2. Book 1 doesn't really have like it's creepy, and it's a thriller because it's tense, and like there are bad things that happen, but it's not like overly horrifying. As the series progresses, there are more elements of horror that come in. Like there are some like creepy things that happen, and there are tons of like high stakes action scenes and things like that, and some kind of more like the kids have to kind of like fight some like kind of scary like supernatural like villains, but it's not horror in the way that like Stephen King is horror. It's got elements of horror because I love horror, but I'm also kind of a scaredy cat, so I call them paranormal thrillers. So yes, but thank you all so much for coming out and for chatting with me and for celebrating with me. I am so grateful that you took the time to talk with me this evening and to share with these new, share my excitement about sharing all these new covers. Yeah, Befall comes out on April 29th. Then the series will be complete. And yeah, I thank you again. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your evenings. And I will see you guys later.